today we are talking about inquiry-based science education or inquiry-based science learning, teaching. Really, it's a laboratory approach, a methodology that includes active learning from students, where the role of the teacher is changing. It's changing from a non-transmissive way, more to be a tutor and to help to guide students through the inquiry in the classroom. So to start with inquiry-based learning in the classroom, the teacher needs to consider some key points. First of all, the most important thing is, okay, the teacher needs to ask questions to engage the students in the learning or in the process of inquiry. This, most of all, if you want to start, it can very easily happen if you take objects like a seashell or a torch or some old technical artifact, or also leaves from trees, everything you think that fits and suits you. So first of all, questions. And the questions, the important thing is that they have to be open questions, meaningful questions, and they don't have to direct the students to one and only answer. So instead of asking, does the animal live in the ocean, when somehow you handed out a seashell, you can ask, what do you think? What environment would need this animal to live in? So the students ask to inquire and think about. So the questions you ask always need to support somehow the Bloom's taxonomy, like they should improve the analysis, synthesis, or evaluation of the inquiry object the students are talking about. Another very important thing to consider is the planning of the lesson, the planning of the content, but also the planning of the space. For the content, in our experience, for the first approaches, it's very important that you take maybe more time to plan your lessons for an inquiry-based approach, and also not to start with a very complicated or complex issue. So keep it simple and plan it very well. Take more time to think about, most of all, about the timing. Because if you're in primary school, maybe it could be very easy to take an interdisciplinary approach, or you don't have the time limits. But if you're going to the higher level, higher grades of school, and your time is limited, so maybe you can think about to team up with other teachers if you want to make it interdisciplinary, or maybe just try to split your lessons in steps that fit in the time without that you have from your timetable, without interrupting so harsh the students in the process. Another thing, very important, is the space, how you organize the space. So inquiry-based learning normally includes that the students are working in groups. And to work in groups, it would be the best thing as try also to organize your classroom in groups of 3 to 5, and also have a center table or a space where the objects and everything you could need for the inquiry, it can be displayed, taken, and bring back. And also very important to have a blackboard, whiteboard, interactive whiteboard, whatever, just to, at the end, to summarize, to make visible all the things that came up, to write down the ideas of the students, this kind. If you don't have the place to make really groups of tables, make work the students, you can also try to organize it like a horseshoe at a U form, so that still the students are able to look at each other and no one is with the back what's really happening. A good example could be that you guide a question, could be that you bring a torch, a battery-driven torch to your classroom, and that the students are engaged to try to figure out how does it really works, that they just have a look at it, how the electric circuit works, that they just try to open it and see how the circuits are connected, that they try after that maybe to draw on a sheet of paper how the circuit could be, how the bulb is lighting up with the battery, that they try to rebuild it, that you can use for these electronic circuits also the option of Tinkercad. It's a free web app from AutoCAD, where you have the option to design also electric circuits. So this could be a very good lesson unit to introduce electric circuits and somehow to improve inquiry of the students. Why is the process of inquiry in lessons so important? Obviously, it's not the only one, the one and only approach. So it's one option to approach some the content. For sure, you also need transmissive frontal lessons just to transmit some content. But inquiry, if you let the students work in groups, that they can just ask their own question, that they can drive their own investigation, guided by the teacher. Obviously, the work of the teacher is very important, that they always keep them on track, that they somehow go in the right direction with the inquiry process. The students develop skills like creative thinking, communication, collaboration, and also creativity. So they learn to observe an object, a process, and somehow to draw the conclusions out of that observation and try to just somehow to transfer the knowledge to a new situation.